I'm Carolyn Holzman, and this is Confessions of an SEO. These are my experiences in SEO, both as an SEO and an SEO tester. You will not hear a regurgitation of Google press releases. This is not to give you homework or trigger even more FOMO than we already experience in our industry. Rather, I watch Google's feet, and I do this through testing. And I don't think lack of results is because of our side often, because Google systems can break and they don't tell anyone. So if you're an independent or agency SEO, I get you. Business owners or stakeholders trying to manage a team or deal with an agency. I was a local business owner for a long time, and I understand your sense of questioning to understand better. My advice, please stay receptive and understand that even if you're really, really smart, you're still not an SEO. Being smart doesn't replace the experience and expertise of your SEO team, so it's best to let us do our job and you do yours. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 7. Yes, we have restored power. Still, it looks like we are in a tree war, or we were. There's piles and piles of branches waiting to get picked up, but I'm not here to talk about the ins and outs of life in Austin, Texas. I'm here to talk about SEO. Search engine optimization, and what I'm noticing. And you asked for it, so I've got the receipts. Thank you to those who took the 2 minutes out of their day to help me by filling out the second annual Confessions of an SEO survey. I may not know who you are, but you have my deepest thanks. So, what's the big issue this week in SEO? Well, I'll tell you what I'm seeing and offer some possible ways to explain what we're seeing. Now, I'll be like that science guy who tells you a lot of stories and then connects them all at the end. Let's go. All right. In the last few days, Barry Schwartz over at SE Roundtable has been calling traffic patterns or traffic anomalies as signs of an update. I'll put the link in the description. Weather tools were reading a high volatility on Thursday, and anecdotal forum threads, forum chats, lamenting huge traffic losses and some people celebrating huge traffic gains. Now, people in there are saying we're due for a huge update. And the weird thing is that what they all say, it's what they all say whenever the traffic tools shoot up, when they show a high degree of volatility. Now, it's interesting to me, but there are a whole lot of other reasons that SEO weather tools can shoot up. And a whole lot of other reasons why traffic can go shooting down. I will get back to this. There also seems to be a matter which crawler is designated to compile the data in your Google Search Console. If you're not an SEO, that's going to sound like a bunch of gobbledygook to you. But inside, it's a Search Console is a free place where we can verify our sites, and in that, Google gives us feedback and tells us what's going on with the specific pages in general. And in there, they designate sites as either with a primary mobile crawler or a primary desktop crawler. Now, testing is showing that if your site is designated as smartphone or mobile crawler data, all things being equal, you're doing just fine. But a desktop crawler designation seems to be getting different results. Now, both designations seem to be good for the crawl and index subsystems of the full indexation process. But the desktop crawler compiled data, there seems to be an issue between the second and third subsystems, between the index and the serve systems, meaning you look in there and you see that your page is indexed when you put it in the Search Console, but when you try and find it by the keywords, it's nowhere to be found. Now, I know this because I test, and these tests are not edits on existing content of a designated desktop crawler site. It's brand new content, never before presented to Google in this particular order. But I do have a test running on what if it were edits on a same type of site, designated site, to see, like, is this only a blockage for new content to go between being indexed and being served, or is it just across the board? So we'll have to see how this test turn out. Now, there's something really weird about this, because I've been able to get one test on this desktop designated crawler site, one test this week through both systems, the simple keyword and the JavaScript keyword. But why that one and not any of the others? And in another circumstance, I have access to some national sites that also happen to be designated as primary desktop crawler. And I'm seeing the following. Pages where prior to optimization, these pages were in the page 5, page 6 territory. After optimize, they pop up to the middle to the top of page 1 for their service terms. After 6 weeks of being on page 1, they drop out completely in the rank trackers. Now, it could be something weird with the tool, but it does, show that they go from being somewhere to being nowhere. Now, I check Google Search Console and they show as indexed. I isolate the URL. There's a performance report that you can run where you can say, in this time frame for this website, I want to see what this page shows for this search term. So you have to put in each one of those factors. And then when you run the report, you're basically saying, I want to look at the history of this particular page for that particular term. And usually there's, for the ranking, you'll see a solid orange line, and that tracks the position of the page for the term. And in these cases, you see, a solid line start to become dotty, or, look like somebody started writing and then stopped, and then started writing and stopped. And then you see where it's phasing in and phasing out. Nowhere to page 1, and then from page 1 to nowhere, and then from nowhere to page 1. So it kind of goes back and forth. And believe me, I'm heading somewhere with this. Now, earlier this week, on getting a confirmation from Google Search Console, I had requested to validate some URLs that were in the discovered but not crawled bucket. And I got the notification that they had been successfully completed. So when I clicked on the blue button in the notification, it took me to this section in what I thought was my Search Console section, where that bucket lives, where it says why your pages weren't indexed. And in that particular bucket of discovered but not crawled, it was indeed empty. So I closed the notification and I went to what was clearly my Search Console. And I went to that exact same section where I had previously seen 0 URLs in that bucket. And I looked at it, and it was clearly now not empty. They were still in there. So this is my thought. Could it be that there are 2 versions of our Search Consoles? One that Google sees on their side before they push the pages report out, and the one that we log in and see in our Search Console. This might explain all the weird Search Console anomalies that get reported. And we as SEOs, we sort of contort ourselves thinking that somehow we are the cause of all this weird data. So maybe it's not us. And the big news of the week, at least for me, is the testing Ted Kubitis has been doing with the Googlebot rendering time. How long are the crawlers grabbing our HTML? Now, except for Ted, I know I haven't ever tested for this. I don't think anybody really has. And we don't know exactly when this changed, but based on Ted's data, it might have been as long as 6 months ago, just in time, as he says, for everybody to claim they've been hit by helpful content update or product reviews or link spam. So previously, tests showed a bot would take about 20 seconds on the content to pull everything. Now it's down to 4 or 5 seconds. And if we have big, fat bloated inline scripts and style sheets? What if by the time all our page is rendering, what if all our optimization is in the part of the page load that comes after those 4 to 5 seconds? Now, this is huge. It seems like if this is true, we don't just have to optimize the page, we need to optimize the framework of our site so that all of the SEO gets in before the bot goes bye-bye. Now, I've set some tests of my own on a second desktop crawler site in a similar way, and I can tell you that on one of them, Google has recrawled, but there continues to be no sign of it going through the second rendering pass yet. And it's only been 3 days, but still, geez, why not? So here's where you might want to grab that roll of aluminum foil and join me in creating our own little tinfoil hats. What if all of these events are related? We know Google is always trying to reduce costs, and they've got a lot of stuff. Makes sense. If Google were struggling with the serving system of indexation for these desktop designated crawler sites, maybe because, this is part of that mobile first initiative, but maybe that part of that initiative hasn't transitioned so well, which could explain why those that are set up to be primary mobile crawler agents are doing fine. So what if, in order to deal with this little wrinkle, they have to periodically roll back the state of the index on our side to an earlier one as they try to diagnose and fix it? Then it might look like pages that were ranking very high and getting traffic suddenly drop off or out. And with that drop off, the traffic they normally get, it makes sense that would disappear as well. So that when testing is completed, they're putting everything back where it belonged, it could appear to create a lot of volatility. One returning URL on page 1 would push down every result for the rest of the whole collection of those results pages. And you do that for a fair amount, and it may seem like a lot of volatility. So let's just not discount the fact 2 other highly disruptive events have occurred at Google in the past 30 days. The layoff of 12,000 employees, some of them engineers, in January. And the second one is the way that Google was caught asleep at the wheel when the chat AI leaped out of seemingly nowhere. Is it not possible that all of this combined together might be conspiring to create all these results? Now, we don't know for sure what is the cause of all of this, but it sure as hell isn't something I'd categorize as an update. I'm not suggesting at all that we need to feel sorry for Google, but we have to be business people about this. I am suggesting that we consider the real danger of placing the health of our business to grow revenue on an all organic basis, especially given the nature of Google and the state of Google at the moment. Even if you have a mobile designated site, you might have other things that are being held up through this other thing, the desktop primary. Now, when we have these kinds of issues, it's clear that whatever is going on, it's way beyond our abilities as SEOs to fix things that Google broke or is in the middle of fixing. So we kind of then have to look at what makes sense in terms of how to respond to this increased volatility. Now, I can't tell you what to do because I don't know your situation, but here's where my mind goes. If not at times like these, when do we think it would be shrewd to take action to get the absolute most out of any visitor to our site? If you're not retargeting or providing something that will convert them, at least from a looky-loo to a warmer prospect, that visitor, when they come and go like that, that's probably one of the most expensive visitors we have. We can't figure out what the ROI is on them is. It could be infinitely, right? So while Google is free, and yes, I use the Air Bunnies, it's not free when you pay an SEO to get the visibility you want, or for that SEO to spend time not getting paid, watching the SERP result pages, watching, how I'm going to call them waves, to see what is happening to pages as they phase in and phase out. What it took to generate that traffic to your site is definitely not free. Now, I'm doing this for my own business. It just has to be something of high perceived value, something that I can give them in exchange, something that solves even a tiny problem, but is a huge benefit to the person who gets clarity from that, whatever it is, and they can move forward with whatever they were doing, whatever it was designed to help them with. So if you're experiencing any or all of these symptoms, feel free to check out the research I'm doing on the desktop designated crawler sites. If you didn't catch or you can't catch the almost daily visitors, you can check out the page that I really work hard to update daily. And you can find it by searching for Google Index Detector. It is the first result. Well, that is it for today, and that's it for this week. Thank you for being a visitor. Please come back. Bring a friend. If you have 5 minutes, check out Crawl or No Crawl on YouTube. They're short videos with the update of the ongoing indexation research and specifically focusing on the desktop primary crawler test sites. Thank you to the supporters of Confessions. It's been my pleasure to be with you, and I'll see you in the SERPs.